Hey, it's Shelly from Dogs and Dragonfly Farms. Today we're doing a recipe. It's our family recipe of Spanish rice. I'm doing this video kind of for my sister because for some reason after all these years she still can't figure it out. So if I lay it out step by step, she'll be able to make it. Right now this is all my scraps from getting it ready. You'll see it in the video. Tomatoes and bell peppers. I did chop up an onion, but I'm not going to feed that to the chickens. They don't like it, and I'm pretty sure it's not good for them. You probably hear my chickens in the background running around. Yes, that's Peepers. He's in my garden. So hang in there. We're going to do Spanish rice. All right, so what we're going to do, we've got these tomatoes cored. What we're going to do is take them, put them, this is boiling water, 1 minute. Alexa, set timer for 1 minute.
1 minute, starting now.
Next, after they've been in there for 1 minute, you're going to put them in the cold water. The skins will just pop right off, and then you're going to dice them up into fours. So after I got them all peeled, quartered, they're all in this stock pot, I'm just going to add just a cup of water and a shake of Himalayan salt. It's just pink salt. I'm going to let this cook down just like if it would have been canned. I just didn't have enough tomatoes here at the time to can them, and they came out of my garden, so I didn't want to waste them. If you like, you could always use a store-bought can of whole tomatoes for this recipe. Okay, so what else you're going to need for this? This is just dried mushrooms. I'm going to rehydrate them because you put mushrooms in this. An onion. This is a pretty good size onion, so I'm going to say large. A bell pepper. Found 2 small ones that were while I was cleaning out the garden. I'm going to just throw them in there. Some Louisiana hot sauce, tomato soup, cream of mushroom soup, and you'll need salt to taste. So sometimes I put olives in this, green olives. That way I don't have to add as much salt, but that's completely up to you. So right now I'm just cooking down the tomatoes. You can totally use a can of regular tomatoes, whole tomatoes, and in this, it's just, this is what I had from the garden. Figured I might as well use them up. So I'm going to cook this down. Now normally what you would put in it, if you're going to put fresh tomatoes in like this, or the way my mom used to make it, is she would get 2 mason jars that she had canned and put it in this recipe. So if I don't use this all in my Spanish rice, I'll just set it aside and I will find a use for it later. So now, got the mushrooms over here rehydrating. You could totally use a can of sliced up mushrooms in this. This just happens to be what I had. Got the bell peppers cut into quarters because I'm going to stick them down in my little chopper. And you'll just make them into little cubes, or you can put it in a processor. It's that easy. This is not a really complicated recipe. Alright, same as with the bell peppers. I got the onions chopped up. Got the bell peppers cubed up. I'm just going to take and put my onions in my little chopper. I'll try to stuff it in there. And I'm just going to cut these into cubes. Alright, so tomatoes have been cooking down for about maybe 15 minutes. This should be fine because they will cook the rest of the way once they're in with the rice. So one of the most important things you're going to need is rice. I found with this recipe, I'm sure you can use just about any rice, but I found that the Uncle Ben's white rice seems to work the best for what we're doing with this recipe. My mom used Uncle Ben's. Usually she just bought a small box, and that's almost what goes into her recipe. Same with what I'm gonna do today. So, like I said, just plain old Uncle Ben's regular rice. The minute rice doesn't seem to work, and all the other rices that I've looked at don't seem to work either. Well, if you could see, the only one that's behaving and out of the kitchen is Dory. Dodger, my big helper, and Daisy. Oh, you two, out of the kitchen. Come on, out of the kitchen. Come on, go, go, go. Yes. How can you say no to that face? Come on, out. So, in a frying pan, you're gonna need about 1.5 pounds of hamburger. Usually I use the lean stuff. You also can use ground turkey or chicken, same amounts of meat. So it's not a really picky recipe. So you can, if you don't eat beef, you can use chicken or turkey. And you're gonna brown this up. So let me turn this on, and I'm gonna turn it up to medium, or maybe, no, medium to high. And I'm gonna go ahead and brown that. So to that, I already got my bell peppers and onions already chopped up. So the meat's still raw, so don't freak out. It's all gonna get cooked. And let me get this, my Louisiana hot sauce. And we're going to, this actually makes the recipe. So depending on how hot or spicy you like this, just add as much as you want. I tend to go crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to brown that up. And as that's browning, I'm going to get the mushrooms ready to go in there too. Alright, so I've strained off the mushrooms. We're going to add those into it. So if this was just a can of mushrooms, one of those small little cans that you buy at the store, that's about how much you put in there. I don't, like I said, I'm not a very good measurer, so we're just going to brown this up, and as soon as this is all browned up, I'll hop right back on here. This is all browned, and it seems that my dogs have calmed down now. You can see it, like the onions are all caramelized. What I'm going to do now is add the cream of mushroom soup. Doesn't matter what brand, just cream of mushroom, and a can of tomato soup. And we're going to start adding the tomatoes that I have cooked down. Alright, so you're going to dump in your can of tomato soup, your can of cream of mushroom soup. Now you're going to use these cans. You're going to dump 1 can of water from your tomato soup and 1 can of water from your mushroom soup. And it's not going to look that pretty, but you're going to just stir it up. It will blend together. Then we're going to add our tomatoes, but I don't have enough hands, so give me a second, then I did turn this down a little so it doesn't burn. So let me get this. So I'm going to start adding my tomatoes. Like I said, it was about 2 quart jars that my mom would add to this. So that's about what I'm going to add. Or until I think it looks good. So it looks awfully liquidy right now, but the rice will suck up a lot of this moisture. And you may find you in the middle of it while it's cooking that you may have to add a little water to it and stir it up until your rice gets done. The one thing with the Uncle Ben's rice, like I said, the reason why I prefer it, it doesn't get mushy. but it, you know, it's not completely mush. So that's, there's a little, you see, I did not strain off the meat because it won't, the rice will suck up that too. So, and that will taste really good. The one good thing about this recipe is since it's just me and my husband, this will freeze, which is awesome. So I make so much of it in my little electric skillet. The electric skillet seems to cook it the best. Don't know why, it just does. It's the way my mom cooked it when we were kids. That's the way I'm cooking it now. Alright, so I'm going to add the rice. This is a 300 milliliter cup, so basically a cup and a half of rice. And you're going to stir this in. It looks like you need a little bit more. I would just add a little bit at a time. My mom's description on how it should look when you got just the right amount of rice, it is, which is disturbing. She said it would look like it had bugs floating around in there, little white bugs. So that's just terrible, but don't think of them as bugs. They're not. I keep my rice in jars and in the refrigerator so I don't get bugs. So once it's at a consistency where you can see like tomatoes, rice, and all the stuff in one scoop, then you're pretty good with the amount of rice you need. And what you're going to do now, I'm going to turn this back up to medium high, and I am going to cover this and let it start to boil. Once it starts boiling, then I'm going to take it down to a simmer for about 20 minutes until it's done. In 20 minutes usually it is done, and then I'll get back with you here in a few. So this is just a little intermission while the rice is cooking. My husband's in there watching it. I told him to add a tablespoon of salt. I use the Himalayan pink salt. Seems to work really good. We need all the minerals anyway. And have to keep an eye on these two because they like to have a little heyday out here and start rolling around. Daisy's just sitting here like, nah, I'm just gonna tickle myself. So while it is simmering, you want to just stir it a little bit because sometimes it'll still burn to the bottom, so you don't want it to burn. So after it's simmered, you stir it up and everything is done now. Everything, it thickens up. I just serve it as the main dish since everything's in there. You can also, if you get real adventurous, you can put it in bell peppers, stuffed bell peppers. And enjoy. Here it is, all on the dinner table. My husband's going to add lemon to his. He adds lemon to everything. So that was the family recipe for Spanish rice. Hopefully my sister will be able to make it now. I don't live in Ohio anymore, so I can't really explain once again how to do it. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, just like and subscribe, and if you hit the little bell thing, it'll notify you of any more videos that I do. Thanks. Bye.